Welcome back, Hope at Dawn, and it's time to check what's being reported in the dailies this morning.
Yes.
And the Daily Nation, they go with the headline, exposed 149 MPs who failed Kenyans. How did they fail Kenyans? When a crucial vote on a bill imposing a housing levy that has generated huge public interest came up in the House on Tuesday evening, 149 MPs, despite their previous public show of approval or disapproval, were a no-show. An even bigger group snubbed the final legislative stage yesterday. The story on page 7 and 8. So these guys, they did not vote. At least it's better for them who voted for the housing levy. At least they stood up for something.
Yeah.
These ones, we don't know whether they are cold or hot.
They are lukewarm.
They are lukewarm.
Spat out.
Exactly. And so they are being exposed by the Daily Nation. And it's a long list of 149. I was thinking my MP would be here, but then I remembered he's actually the one who is leading for the vote to pass. Then I realized there's no way he would miss. Anyway, so read and get to see how your MP voted. Did he vote? Did she vote? Were they absent? Get to read that on page 7 and 8. Then still on the front page of The Nation,
Yes.
roadmap to fix debt mess, pay suppliers. The Parliamentary Budget Office recommends reduced borrowing to manage public debt that has surged past 11 trillion shillings. Now, together with reserving 20% of budgetary allocations for staggered payments of 794 billion shillings owed to suppliers to boost private sector productivity, the economic experts say the country could begin to turn the tide. That's a story on pages 4 and 5. So way out of debt hole. 1, borrowing should not exceed 722 billion in the 2024-25 financial year. 2, allocate 150 billion shillings annually over next 5 years to pay suppliers, boost private sector. A transparent government plan on the depreciating shilling as well as Eurobond repayment, targeted investments across export businesses including Hustler Fund support to specific exporters and tighten controls on emergency government spending, like 47 billion shillings rejected by controller of budget. You can read that roadmap to fix debt mess and pay suppliers. And there's a quote there attributed to the president who was addressing the press yesterday after the end of the retreat in Naivasha. And he said, yesterday marked a significant financial milestone for Kenya as we successfully settled the buyback of a substantial part of the $2 billion 2014 Eurobonds that were scheduled to mature on the 24th of June 2024 by paying $1.5 billion raised on the 12th of February 2024. Right. I also see head injuries caused Kiptum's shock death. A post-mortem examination has found marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum died due to multiple severe head injuries following the February 11 accident. It's a story you can read on page 35. Private firms running e-citizen, auditors say, that is the auditor saying, the state has little control of the e-citizen payment portal. Auditor General Nancy Gathongo has said, warning that this could compromise accountability of the billions of shillings processed through the platform, and it's on the back page of The Nation. And they are saying collections average 350 million shillings daily, up from 50 million shillings in financial year ended June 2023. So the state has little control over the e-citizen self-service and payment portal, according to the Auditor General Nancy Gathongo, warning that this could actually compromise accountability of the billions of shillings processed through the platform.
Okay.
I also see on page 10, ministers put on notice as cabinet retreat ends. And so they either shape up or ship out. That's the message that they got. And Interior's Kithure Kindiki was ordered to sort out passport mess. Ruto put CSs on notice over poor performance. President delivered dire warnings demanding detailed plans from the CS. So NHIF reforms derailing health service delivery, county bosses claim. It's also on page 10. Embakasi fire, you remember that fire. So the victims lament empty promises by state officials. Sadly, of course, they are now a forgotten lot. Read that inside the Nation. Gakuyo arrested at JKIA, questioned over alleged Ekeza Sacco land scams. Televangelist David Kariuki Ngari, popularly known as Gakuyo, was arrested yesterday by DCI detectives at the JKIA. He's wanted over by the office of the DPP charged after he was charged with fraud. You can get that inside the Daily Nation. The DN2 pullout today.
Yes.
It's the property section pullout. What to look for in a security system. Expert gives insights on why your modern security system need to be a mere scarecrow. How does your security provider identify, detect, deter, and respond to the ever-changing threats? What are the immediate and long-term costs? Page 20 and 21 inside the pullout. Business section, asset seizures by banks to rise on bad loans growth. Parliamentary Budget Office points to more pain for distressed borrowers, rising cost of living, squeezing farms and home budget plans. So banks plan to step up asset seizures as part of a strategy to recover overdue loans. That's according to the Parliamentary Budget Office, pointing to more pain for distressed borrowers. Farms paying as unpaid claims to state rise to 16 billion shillings. Now, the government accumulated an extra 4 billion shillings in tax refund claims by businesses in the 6 months between May and October 2023. This is pushing the overall unpaid amount to 16.3 billion shillings, adding a squeeze on traders already scorched by liquidity challenges. Read that on the business section of the Daily Nation. Now we go to the sports pages. Kiptum died from head injuries, autopsy reveals, but more tests to be conducted. Trailblazing Rwandan coach Hakizimana was laid to rest in Kigali yesterday, and sports CS Boabu Namwamba represented the Kenyan government. I also see this is who Bayern Munich to part ways with coach Thomas Tuchel at season end. So yesterday also we had some matches, and Liverpool beating Luton Town 4-1 in the EPL encounter. Arsenal, they lost to FC Porto, that is in the first leg of their Champions League encounter away at the El Dragao Stadium. And then Barcelona and Napoli, they drew 1-1.
Okay, that's it for
the Daily Nation.
The Daily Nation. All right, let us look at the Standard, and I see the very first thing here, which is quite unfortunate. Exposed 883 million scam universities. Parliament is investigating how Higher Education Placement Agency KUCCPs disbursed 883 million shillings to finance students who had already graduated from private universities following Auditor General Nancy Gathongo's revelations. Hii pesa jamani ilienda wapi? Watu wamesha graduate, but you know the money is just being disbursed in the name of these students going to the university. But how it appears is that they had already graduated, but then the money is still being disbursed. And I also see another news here, which is on the top page. Ruto MPs ram housing bill through Parliament, something you have also touched on the Daily Nation. Opposition MPs walk out of House as President William Ruto scores his third and crucial win with the passage of the Affordable Housing Bill 2023 that introduces new taxes on Kenyans to fund the Head of State pet project. And also on the top page, something covered is that Raila succession tightens line up to take the mantle. The Raila succession is a debate that has been muted but has gotten a new lease of life after the ODM leader announced his interest in shifting his attention to continental politics with a shot at chairmanship of AU Commission. That's a story you can find in more detail. That is on page 8. And going to the third page, that is, I see here that 6 milked dry dormant accounts. Suspects charged with impersonation, forgery, and altering documents. Bank employee charged with unlawful disclosure of personal data. That is on page 3. And on the story that we have touched on about how 880 million was disbursed to private varsities for ex-students, we are being told here that Parliament is investigating how Kenya Universities and Colleges Central Placement Service disbursed 883.3 million to fund students who had already graduated from private universities in the last 6 years. And this is a number of 9,489 students funded at a cost of 4.12 million for periods exceeding duration of academic programs in some private universities. Look at that story on page 2. And when we cross over to page 4, that is, the housing levy conversations that we've been having. I see here Jeanette Mohammed, who is the minority whip, saying that we refuse to sit and participate in a rubber stamping process. If Parliament continues doing business this way, then we are going to have a problem in the near future. We see here proposed law headed to Senate where, if adopted, will then be forwarded to Ruto for assent. That is on Ruto wins big as housing bill sails through. So whatever we have been waiting for on this particular news, what we see here is that it has actually passed through. But God is on our side. I believe that all is going to be okay. And I see page 5, NSSF rates case back to Court of Appeal. So Supreme Court did not pronounce itself on whether the contested act is legal or not. Judges say they had only allowed appeal on a thin line on court powers. And the Supreme Court yesterday returned a battle between employees and employers to the Court of Appeal. Look at that story on page 5. And when we go to page 7 here, I see public debt swallows 98% of revenue. Quite unfortunate. I see President William Ruto's administration in tight corner financially. Going by January figures, the Treasury relied mostly on loans to fund government expenditures. Look at that story on page 7. And of course, we have page 13 that is talking about Kiptum died of injuries to skull, spine, and ribs. Autopsy shows a story that you have mentioned as well in the Daily Nation. And remember, Feb 11 is the day when the marathoner was involved in an accident at Flux Junction along Eldoret Eldama Ravine Road. You can look at more details on that. That is on page 13. And on the pullout, I see something very interesting because it's it's very much related to what we are talking about today on parenting. I see parenting advice YouTuber given 4 years in prison for child abuse. Quite unfortunate because what we see here, Gigi, I see that this particular family has been mistreating their children and advising people on YouTube on how to do the same to discipline the children. It's really unfortunate because this is something I think we are going to talk about because this is really, really sad. Yeah. It is really, really sad because I see here that YouTube viewers combed through her archives and pointed out other disturbing and controversial methods used by Frankie, such as withholding food, threatening to chop the head off a toy stuffed animal, and cancelling Christmas as punishment. We also see here that the children were regularly denied food, water, beds to sleep, and virtually all forms of entertainment. They were denied all forms of entertainment as well. So this is really unfortunate. That's because sad. They have actually been taken to prison because of giving very poor advice and then noting that their own children, they have been mistreating their own children in the name of disciplining them. And then this lady is saying here that she was in tears following the sentence. She apologized to her children and said, "I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong."
Really?
I know. That's the only reasonable reaction. Like, really? Yeah. You know, it just doesn't make sense. And I think the worst thing is that they are actually advising people, you know, to do this. And I see here her videos showed a typical Mormon suburban family homeschooling, cooking, eating, and chatting together. But fans started to become suspicious in 2020 when one of her sons mentioned that he had been forced to sleep on a beanbag for 7 months. What? 7 months. you wonder, what kind of punishment is this? What is this? And this is a conversation we are going to be having, you know, when it comes to disciplining children.
Discipline.
Where do we draw the line?
Yeah.
Because some of these things can be traumatizing even to the child. Very traumatizing. And still looking at teenagers here, I see that head teacher shooting arrested people age 13 may be tried as an adult. Now, this 13-year-old boy in South Africa has been arrested after allegedly shooting and injuring his principal. And it is said in South Africa that they could be, you know, tried as an adult. That is what the prosecuting authority has said. So this is a 13-year-old who has shot the principal. The principal is in the ICU fighting for his dear life. This is a teenager. I mean, where have we missed it? But we will be definitely diving deeper into that conversation. I see time is a bit far much spent, but let me just touch on what is happening on the sports. Will Liverpool, Man City or Arsenal come out on top? English Premier League title race is turning out to be the tightest in recent times with 13 matches to go. And Man City win over Brentford means they are 1 point behind Liverpool and 1 point ahead of Arsenal. You can only wait and see how this plays out.
Business Daily, front page. State House overshoots 6-month budget by 447 million. Ruto's office spends 5.3 billion shillings against the target of 4.9 billion shillings. Over expenditure comes despite an austerity push. Then inside Kenya's costly 1.6 trillion shillings infrastructure bonds bench. You can read that on the front page of the Business Daily. And you should prepare now, because I believe by the end of this month you will be deducted. You only have a month to enjoy. But 1.5% housing levy definitely will be back because Parliament last night passed the controversial housing levy bill. And of course, trust you me, it will be signed into law very early this morning.
And we can blame those who didn't vote. Because why?
But this is a very crucial bill.
I know.
So why? Then you come tell us what?
Oh, my.
What will you tell your constituents? Because you are paid to appear and take part in such debates. But then again, you are away, you don't show up, but then again you come and you start telling us, I feel your pain. You don't feel your pain. We pay you to sit in that house and discuss and debate and reject. Let us see you on TV or newspapers, you know, your name there saying, yes, he, she took part in the debate. And she voted no. He voted yes. He voted no. She voted yes. At least you stood up for something.
Because I'm guessing these people who didn't even turn out, probably they were against it.
Yes.
But then they decide,
no, you don't do that. History will judge you and judge you harshly when you have people's money being deducted.
Gigi is a bitter citizen. We can't allow this to just
we
go
can't.
like...
No, we can't.
This is really unfortunate. Now it has been passed.
It has been passed.
Now we can't go back.
No, we can't.
They can't say, oh, wacha tu ni vote. No. Now it's... Anyway, it is well.
Get to read what's being reported in the dailies, the housing levy, and much more. And let's continue to pray for our nation.
We need to pray for our leaders too, so that they will have common
they will
sense,
know,
you know.
the role they're supposed to play.
Yes. But anyway, I see we are like 5 minutes to 8, but let us look at the video of the day when we get back. We have an amazing conversation today on parenting, and especially those teens. I know kidogo, knucklehead kidogo, anasumbua kidogo, but today Rev Mungadia will be telling us all about how we need to go about it. So please do continue staying with us. Let's see the video of the day and then we'll get back, talk about it, and then tutavuka ule upande mwingine. Don't go far.